So, what are we going to be debating today? The resolution is worded like this: genetically modifying crops should continue. Okay, so it's in the affirmative, and we're focusing on crops, on horticulture. All right. And the structure is this: we go the affirmative team here, opening statement, and straight into the negative team's opening statement. Then we'll take a 5-minute break. And this is a time for class members to give you some question ideas. Then we'll have the cross-examinations, negative team first. And then after that, 5-minute break. And then the rebuttals. And then the summaries. Okay? So the difference is we go opening statement, straight after each other. Okay? All right, let's hear from the team. So the mic's on the table. Just quickly introduce yourselves, what side you're on, and your names, please. Okay.
Hello. Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Deepa, and I'm from the affirmative team.
Is it on?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. I think it's the following.
Yeah, okay.
Hello. Good morning.
That's
My
right.
name is Vishnu. I'm from the affirmative side.
Hello, I'm Reika and I'm also from the family side.
Hello, so I'm APU from the positive side. From the negative side, yeah.
Hi, my name is Jim Mariano from Japan, also from negative side.
Kazuharu Mori.
Okay, let's quickly hear from the judges. Please introduce yourselves.
Hello, my name is Ms. Mack. I am from America, and it's a great privilege to be your judge today. I used to be the coordinator of Advanced English 2, and I know a lot about debate, so I'm looking forward to being impressed by both teams and classmates today. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Matthew Schwab. I am an English lecturer here at the APU in the CLE, and I'm also really excited about the debates today. I enjoy watching debates for fun on YouTube, so I have high expectations of you all. Thank you.
I guess still in the morning, sort of. Good morning, my name is Pardo. I'm the Associate Dean for Accreditation, and I'm originally from Canada. And I guess my claim to fame is I've done this a few times. And I used to be on the Ontario debating team, so I hope to see great debates.
Okay, thank you very much, judges, for taking time out of your busy schedules and helping us today. So, without further ado, let us begin. Affirmative team, let's hear your opening statement. You have
Wouldn't it be terrible if we couldn't snack on papayas like we're doing today? Because of genetic modification, we are able to save the Hawaiian papaya from the ring spot virus. By the late 1990s, ring spot virus had affected every papaya producing region in Hawaii, resulting in production reduction by 50% between 1993 and 2006. But 10 years later, genetic modification has saved the papaya industry, and it accounted for over 90% of papaya production today. This is just one example out of many possibilities. Imagine if you could save other endangered crops. Or better, what if we can prevent tragedies like this from happening before they even happen? There are endless possibilities when it comes to genetic modification. That is why my teammates and I believe that the production of genetically modified crops should be continued, and we have 3 claims to support our stance. We believe that genetic modification have tons of environmental, health, and economic benefits. GM crops are beneficial for the environment because biotech crops allow farmers to grow more without needing to use additional land. According to PG Economics in 2014, GMOs allowed farmers to use 51 million less acres of land to produce the same amount of food, fuel, and fiber crops. That's equivalent to all the farmlands in Iowa and Missouri. Think about all the land we can save and all the deforestation we can reduce. Secondly, GM crops can be very beneficial for our health. according to current World Health Organization estimates, more than 3 billion people worldwide, especially in developing countries, are malnourished in essential nutrients. Malnutrition imposes severe costs on a country's population due to impaired physical and cognitive abilities, as well as reduced ability to work. Since supplements are expensive and difficult to distribute widely, a more effective way to solve this problem is through genetically modifying staple crops and enhancing their nutritional value. An example of a genetically modified staple crop is golden rice. Vitamin A deficiency, or VAD, is responsible for 500,000 cases of irreversible blindness and up to 2 million deaths per year. To eliminate this problem, we can create golden rice, which are genetically modified to produce large amounts of vitamin A. A 2012 study by Tan et al. Published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that 100 to 150 grams of golden rice provided 60% of the Chinese recommended intake of vitamin A. And estimates suggest that supplementing golden rice for 20% of the diet of children and 10% for pregnant women and mothers will be enough to combat the effects of vitamin A deficiency. As you can see, genetic modification can be used as a tool to combat one of the world's most serious health problems. And not only is there the golden rice, there are also genetically modified soybeans that produce a healthier oil free of trans fats, bananas that have enhanced carotene levels, and potatoes that have a reduced amount of acrylamide, a naturally occurring chemical that has been identified as a potential carcinogen and is created when potatoes are cooked at high temperatures. Lastly, GM crops also have economic advantages. According to a report published by PG Economics, global benefits for genetically modified crops have reached $150 billion since the crops were first planted. Another report by National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine finds that the majority of economic benefits for farmers from GM crops were derived from higher yields and extra production, with countries in the developing world seeking the most benefits. This gives us more reason to believe that we should continue the production of GM crops because it provides numerous benefits for multiple stakeholders. It benefits consumers, producers, as well as the environment. How can we say that we need to put an end to something that has so much potential? GM crops should be further developed in order for us to continue providing benefits to the world. Thank you.
Modified crops should not be continued to produce because of 3 reasons. First is because of the negative health effects that they give, the environment, and the bad economic effects. For the health part, an article written by Frederick Adams stated that the genetically modified crops are being controlled by big companies and they aim to gain profit. So should we risk to these companies that wants to make profits? Well, their aim is profit, so they will not prioritize health in their production. And Adams mentioned that one of the corn called starling were deemed unfit for consumption. However, this corn that is undeemed not suitable for consumption made its way to the grocery store in which people consume and have certain allergic reactions with. So if these genetically modified crops have a lot of disadvantage, why should we continue them? And the next point is
so next point is the GMO can affect nature, and the first effect on the nature will be natural. It will cause the natural imbalance. For example, BT corn can be a good example. Like BT corn was used to be known as the environmental friendly insecticide included plant, which it was only limited in a corn species. However, in 1919, studies made by Lozzi and other scientists showed when BT corn pollen was exposed to a milkweed, it has high mortality to the monarch larvae. The larvae is feed on the weed, and the monarch larvae is not harmful to the corn. However, it is harmed by the BT corn. This effect will cause the imbalance of the nature. So from these studies, we can see the limitation of the GMOs and how can it be risky to the nature. And the next point is the use of harmful pesticides and herbicides. And many people think that GMO can reduce use of herbicides or insecticides. Indeed, the BT corn was amazing at first in control of pests. However, studies made by the New York Times shows that rate of using the insecticides and herbicides are higher in the US and Canada, where GMO are extremely popular and then to the Europe countries. To compare use of herbicides, US has increased 21% since the GMO crops has been introduced. In contrast, in Europe, herbicide use has declined by 36%.
So last claim is about economical issue. As many of you guys might know, the price for GMCs are very expensive. According to Off the Great News, it costs $80 more an acre to produce a GMO crops compared to those which are non-GMOs. And this is a difference of $81,000 for a farm of 1,000 acres. Moreover, farmers who use GMCs are required to sign a contract that they are not going to save GMCs or reuse them. So this means that every time they want to make new crops, they have to buy those expensive seeds from the company again and again. And this has caused some of the farmers to struggle to pay their debts and start to be dependent to those companies. And although, despite this high cost, there is not enough evidence to show that GMO has caused a positive impact on crop yields. Actually, conversely, there are some studies that says it doesn't have any clear evidence that GMO is good for the crop yields. And although there are few studies that says they are good for the crop yields, according to WVBEZ investigation, they actually found that GMO, the biggest company of GMO, Monsanto's, are paying money for researchers to travel and write positive things about GMOs. So this suggests that some of their evidences are not relevant, not convincing. Therefore, we should stop using GMOs. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, you're asking. Okay, so everybody standing up. No, it's there's a difference in the mic volume. If it's a little bit quiet, it's a bit now.
Okay.
Push through. Yeah.
Okay. So in your first claim, you said that GMO crops needed less land, but do you have specific evidence or case that shows that because of GMO, a certain farmer used less land for the production?
Okay. According to the PG Economics report in 2014, if crop biotechnology had not been available to the 18 million farmers using the technology in 2014, maintaining global production level at 2013 levels would have required additional plantings of 7.5 million hectares, which is equivalent about 2.5 acres of land of soybean, 8.9 million of hectares of corn, 3.7 million of cotton, and 0.6 million of canola crops. I mean, this total area required is equivalent to 20% of arable land in U.S., 33% of arable land in Brazil, and 14% of the cropping area in China. So I think it's pretty needed.
Okay, thank you. Okay. And next question will be like as I said, the pesticide use is increasing. So how is it still environmental friendly?
So according to our research, the pesticide is not increasing.
It's actually decreasing.
Yeah, it's actually decreasing. The adoption of GM insect-resistant and herbicide-tolerant technology has reduced pesticide spraying by 618.7 million kilograms. And according to environmental impact of quotients, by 18%, the technology has also facilitated the important cuts in fuel use in tillage and tillage changes, resulting in significant reductions in release of greenhouse gas emission from GM cropping area. So it's actually saving the environment, isn't it?
Cool. So study actually shows that it has been increasing. But anyway, say we still have to use pesticides, and by using those pesticides, the weed's going to get stronger and stronger, and they become super pests. And what are you going to do with that super pest?
Okay.
Or insecticides.
Okay, so you're talking about pesticide or herbicides?
Because you mentioned
Pesticides
weed
is
and
herbicide is pesticide.
Okay, so yeah, inside of the pesticide is that there is a pesticides, and also there's a herbicide, insecticides, and also herbicides. Okay, whatever is that. So if you're familiar with this kind of system, that changing the amounts of, changing the types of the herbicides used to spray in order to avoid the development of super weed, you said before, right? So in order to avoid the development, super pest as well, in order to develop, avoid those development of super pest and also super weed, we're going, they already implemented the system of changing the spray, the herbicides and also insecticide they use annually in order to avoid the development of those monstrous species.
So, say you were successful in making the crops resistant to those super pests. So where are those super pests going to go? They're going to go to some other farms where they don't, for the farmers who can't afford GMOs, and it's going to cause a real damage to those farmers. Are you just going to ignore them?
Okay, just beforehand, I'd like to, our study said that there's so little evidence showing that the GMO has promoted the development of super pests or any other super creatures. Just I think basically because there's no little of evidence, it means that it's not an emerging issues to be discussed. So instead of being worried about that, why wouldn't we be worried about stopping this kind of technology and therefore making this technology inaccessible to many people and making people not be able to feel the benefits of GMO?
That doesn't actually answer that question, because we have actually data that says that they increase super space. So can you re-answer the question?
Okay, so based on our studies and research and deep thought, we cannot find the data. So I think, yeah.
Okay. Another question. You talked about golden rice, but our research says that none of the golden rice actually approved for cultivation. So what's the point of talking about the benefits that golden rice can cause when no one can buy them?
Okay, so you said like golden rice is not like accessible, like not everyone can access it right now, but that's not because it's unsafe or anything like that. It's actually like due to public misconceptions about genetically modified organisms. It prevented like golden rice from being available to like countries that actually are like affected by VAD. Like for example, like golden rice is being developed in is being grown in Philippines. However, it hasn't like reached the market yet. But this is not because it's like unsafe or anything like that. It's because of like the religious issues. Like since the majority of like Filipinos are like Roman Catholic, like there's like some issue with the religion. Like you don't believe that genetic modification is like religiously right. So it's not, you can't blame GMOs for that. It's like outside, like you have to like you can only like point that to like the regulations.
Well, we're not blaming GMOs.
Okay, thank you.
You said that the Monsanto is paying money for researchers to write good things about it, but do you have any evidence, or is that just a conspiracy theory?
Yes, we do. According to our research, I actually mentioned this in the opening statement, but anyway, investigation actually found that University of Illinois professor was given more than $57,000 from GMO maker Monsanto to travel and write positive researches about GMO. So that's pretty.
Like, don't you think that this maybe there is a positive side of GMO, or all part of GMO is actually bad effect?
We're not saying that it's, well, we are negative side, but this evidence is not saying that it's bad. It's saying that Monsanto is paying money to make people say positive things about GMO, which means that some of their evidence, some of your evidence might not be as convincing, because some of them might be, just might be, I'm just saying there's a possibility, it might be false.
So, can you like explain to us like what is Monsanto? Like who are they? Like some people here may not know what Monsanto is, so like can you please explain?
Okay, Monsanto is a company who sells GM seeds and also the herbicides and pesticides, all of them, and they actually share of the Monsantos are actually more than 90% of all GM seeds. So that's, I think that's the biggest, or at least one of the biggest.
So what are like? Can you mention like some of the seeds or types of crops that Monsanto is producing?
Well, Roundup.
Okay. So is the golden rice produced by Monsanto?
I have no idea. As we mentioned, we don't think golden rice is a relevant topic.
Okay, so how about the Hawaiian papaya, the rainbow papaya? Is it produced by Monsanto?
That's not related to Monsanto. So,
How about the innate potatoes? Or-
are you saying that it is? Or
I'm
are you
asking- yeah, I'm
We
asking.
don't know.
Okay, so like, if you so do you think it's appropriate to blame or fear GMOs because of Monsanto if not all GM seeds are produced by them?
Yes, as I said, share of them is more than 90%. And also, we're not saying that it's bad only because of them, but there are a lot of other companies that does the same thing, which is causing farmers to lower their living standards, because they have to pay their debts, like expensive debts, so they're starting to be dependent to those companies.
So is it like so the thesis that we're talking right now, is it about the hegemony of economics or about the bad effects of GMO?
Bad effects of GMO. Because
So-
if we don't have GMO, they don't have to struggle, right?
No, because if we don't you think that if we don't have GMO, they will find another way to produce another plant incentive chemicals in order to solve and start making the hegemony over and over again.
But we don't know that, but the topic is GMO, and we're saying that because we have GMOs, they are doing this stuff.
Okay, sure. So the next one is, are you sure about the increasing amount? How many percentage of insecticide is actually increased?
Okay, like I said before, but let me repeat it for you. US has increased 21%.
21%.
Use of herbicides.
That's herbicides. We are asking about insecticides. How many
Herbicides.
percentage of insecticides is increasing, not herbicides?
It has no specific data for increase of insecticides, but I just gave an example of herbicides as one of the pesticides.
And also pesticide includes insecticides. So if the pesticide is increasing, that also suggests that insecticide is also increasing.
Okay, thank you. So if that's really, really bad for the environment, really bad for the economy, why wouldn't the farmers stop buying the seeds and just like go for organics?
As I said, they're having to buy them
They have to buy it.
because they are not allowed to reuse or save or recycle the seeds produced by those companies. So they have to keep buying new seeds.
Is there anyone actually forcing them to buy the seeds?
In
the
some
GMOs?
cases, well, it's not the right way to force them. They're not forcing directly, but indirectly, yes.
Yeah, so why wouldn't they just buy like normal seeds or organic seeds? When they're cheaper. Why do they go for the GMOs?
Because some of them were led, like I said, it was indirectly forced or led to buy zinc seeds.
How could the force, like the enforcement happen? Like how do they like please buy that? Like how?
Do they have a good marketing?
Or kind of thing. Okay, just never mind.
Can we answer that question?
Okay, sure.
The reason why the farmers couldn't get the other seeds besides GMOs is because on the market, the GMOs, how to say, the consumption profit is increasing. So the conventional seeds, how to say, company is like have less share on the market. So the farmers are not available for the conventional.
Dominating the
Yeah, it's dominating the markets.
in these days.
Yeah, so you just say that it has benefits to increase the profits, right?
For the company.
For the company, really? For the farmers?
Because
Like,
they're making money.
wouldn't it be like if the farmers experience loss for so many years, they just stopped being a farmers instead?
Stop being farmers.
Yeah, because-
That's not an option. That's how they live. That's where the income is coming from.
But if it's okay, never mind. With the changing climate, do you think that enough organic food can feed the world?
You can quickly answer that question.
What was the question?
Okay. With the changing climate, like climate change, do you think that current organic food can feed the population?
Well, there are a lot of food wastage in the world, so we can start saving them. But I know there might not be enough. But that's not the topic. We're saying the GMO shouldn't be continued to be used. Thank you.
Very good.
Pass the microphone.
There's. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and my fellow debaters. In this very specific occasion, I would like to discuss about the issues, the prompt that talking about whether or not we should continue the production of GM food. And therefore, to justify these prompts, we have to think which way will cause a better good in longer term, and which claims that actually based on solid evidence, not a straw man arguments. So be careful about the whole debate. The first one, I'd like to quote the Andrews Associate Professor of Weed Biology and Ecology from University of Wyoming. Almost any way you look at the data, it appears that GM crops are no greater contribution to the evolutions of superweeds than other use of herbicides. This means that based on our study and also based on the experts, it says that the glyphosates or any other herbicide resistance or pesticide resistance that have very little correlations with the development of superweeds or superpests. In fact, if we're not implementing the technology, we're not implementing the GMO, and keep using the traditional way of spraying herbicides, there's more probability of developing this kind of superweeds and superpests more than ever. And also, talking about the environmental damage that you said before, they're unable to actually point out there are various amounts of benefits that can be caused by implementing this technology. First, it can maximize the land use. Due to the increasing global populations, if we keep using the lands in order to produce the foods and not start thinking how to actually maximize the uses of land, we probably will run out of land by 2030. And also it preserves habitats and ecosystem. GM crops increase productivity in the world's 3.7 billion acres of arable land, which help to prevent deforestation and conserve biodiversity. Imagine if we have more land, more forests, it means that we can build more conservation for those endangered animals. And therefore, like your worries about the monoculture and introducing the ecosystem and balance in nature will not be happened. And we're talking about the health. You failed to mention any specific data. Okay, it's allergic, but what study have been mentioned in terms of to reveals that there are some allergies because of GMO. But here we have lots of data taking your arguments. The health benefits. The Iowa State University developed banana that has carotene for producing vitamin A. Then this banana included carotene will be implemented in Tanzania and Uganda, because basically in Tanzania and Uganda, they use banana as their staple food. Second, in Philippines, they have this very super food called golden rice, which can help more than 500,000 people that can go dead if we are not helping them in advance. And there is in Bangladesh, inspired by the success of the country first commercially released biotech crop. In 2013, Bangladesh is not field testing 3 more crops developed through application of agro-technology. There are light blight resistant potato, BT cotton, and vitamin A enriched golden rice. So basically, apart from your herbicide resistance and pesticide resistance crops, we actually have a lot more GMOs that are out there in order to help those to help people that experience malnourished. And talking about the economics, you have to be more careful to examine whether or not it is the problems of GMO or it's a problem of the economical hegemony. It would be very beneficial if we could live in a world with no hegemony, but in fact we live in a world with hegemony. Therefore, if we have to immerse the technology and make it more accessible to people, and therefore we'll be able to break down the domination of Monsanto and friends. Thank you very much.
Okay, everybody, let's move on to the summaries. This is the final part. The affirmative team will go first. We've got 3 minutes. Go.
First, I'd like to thank the opponents for their argument, but I would still like to say that GMOs are good for us and that they should continue. First, we would like to mention health. Our opponents said that it is bad for our health. However, the only thing they suggested it causes allergens. However, allergies have been around. It is in our genetic makeup. GMOs did not create allergies. And look at how much good it can do. 3 million people die each year from malnutrition and 2 million from vitamin A deficiency. We can save all of these people by adding more nutrients to genetically modified crops. And second is the environment. They say it is bad for the environment because the increase of herbicides. Yes, it is bad because of the increase of herbicides, but that is just one type of genetically modified crops. There are so many others that have been done so much good. Genetically modified crops have shown to save endangered crops, which stops the imbalance of the ecosystem, and you can grow more with less. That brings me to the economic benefits. Genetically modified food has shown to increase higher yield and have extra production, especially in the developing world that needs it the most. Virtually 100% of farmers that plant GMs plant it again the next year. And for every dollar spent, you gain over $4 of profit by using GMO foods. This is why farmers keep going back to using genetically modified foods, even though the seeds are more expensive than organic, because the farmers see the potential in it, the good in it. The utilitarian bioethics theory says, in order to consider one as morally acceptable, the benefits have to outweigh the negatives, and GMOs do that. So we should continue using GMOs. With proper education, a lot of the fears and the myths surrounding GMOs are being dispelled. GMOs are still a new technology. They've only been around for 40 years, and look how much good they have done. Just imagine what they can do in the future if they're allowed to grow and if they're allowed to continue. So this is why we should continue using GMO foods, because they have so much potential to save so many lives around the world. Thank you.
Okay, let's hear from the.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tim. You said like for one to be in favor of the other, the benefits must outweigh the disadvantage. And yes, we agree with that. And we think that the disadvantage that GMO cause outweighs the benefits that they give for 3 reasons that we mentioned. For the health part, you guys failed to tackle some of the important points, such as like you said like it's only allergies, but these allergies are being experienced by 20% of the consumers that consume like the foods that previously edible for them become inedible for them due to some GMO modification. And these foods that were marked as not suitable for consumption made its way to grocery stores, which is a very dangerous thing to do. And
just to add to that, they say that herbicide tolerant and resistance to insect crops are just one of the types. But actually, more than 95% of them are either herbicide tolerant or resistance to insect. And another point that I'm making is that about economical issue. The price for GM seeds are very expensive, as I mentioned in the opening statement as well. According to Off the Grid News, it costs $80 more an acre to raise GM corns compared to the non-GMO corns. And also this is a difference of $81,000 for a farm of 1,000 acres. That's a huge difference. And the farmers are actually having to pay those amount of money. And while we're doing research, we have a lot of opinions and claims that says similar things about us. Why are they worried about GMOs? Why are they having a bad impression of GMO? That's because we don't have enough evidence to prove that it's safe for our health or it increases the crop yields. We don't have enough evidence. Conversely, on the other hand, we have some data that says it doesn't have any positive impact on crop yields, or it's risky for our health. That's why we are trying to stop GMOs, and the promoters are not listening to us. And the third claim is?
The third claim is that, and like you guys mentioned in the long-term cost, that's also our concern. Like in 1940s, the people invented DDT, the insecticide, but after 30 or 40 years later, people found out there's so harmful to the environment, also to the human, and we don't know the GMO will cause that or not, because even if the scientists, their mind is still limited, so we don't know what will happen in the future. So that's one thing. And lastly, I have a dream. One day we can survive enough food without any health concern, without any economic problems, and live in a society that won't cause such GMO debate. Thank you.
All right, debate teams, I want to congratulate you both. It was really interesting for me as a judge to listen to both of your sides, and I'm going to focus on the positive or the affirmative side and give you some comments. First of all, I think what was really interesting about what you did is you had a sort of underlying ideology behind your reasons. So you mentioned human flourishing, or you mentioned good for humanity several times, or you talked about there being a sort of greater good, right? Because in all debates, it's whether this thing is good or bad, and I think that you did a very good job of sticking to that message the entire time, which is, yes, there are these challenges, but overall it's better for humanity if we have GMOs. So I thought that was really good. You were on point. You had talked about the health, environment, the economic benefits. And you also answered, during the question time, you answered almost every question that was thrown at you with a rebuttal, which I thought was kind of interesting. So very good on that. You also quoted a variety of experts. You gave a variety of facts, which means the amount of evidence and preparation that you had was excellent. I was extremely impressed. So very good job. That's something you're always going to need to have. If you had a chance to do this in the future, you're going to need those facts. You're going to need that data always there, ready to answer an opposing view. And your closing argument was excellent. Again, it appealed to a sort of humanitarian argument with that sort of underlying ideology that I talked about, which I really liked. And ultimately, I thought that, I thought you guys did a good job. So thank you very much.
I'm going to say some positive points about the negative team, the oxymoron, positive about the negative, anyways. But before I do that, I just want to say it was very close for me. The team that won just won by one. I basically went who did the best opening, who did the best answering, who did the best asking, and the team that won just won by one part. They did better at one part, so it was very close for me. So nice job to both teams. The negative side, I thought you guys did excellent teamwork. I loved how you guys all stood up and you all talked. And I think teamwork in a debate is really hard because you don't know what the other person's going to say, and it has to flow. It has to flow pretty well. And it worked pretty well. When I saw you all stand up for the rebuttal, I thought, uh-oh, what's going to happen? But you did a really good job, each having a different point that you said, and it worked quite naturally. I really liked your cross-examination, especially answering questions. I think the other team was trying to kind of pinpoint, you're saying this, and you kept saying, no, we're not saying that, and you would reframe the debate. We're just saying, in general, for example, Monsanto has 90% of the seeds. We're not talking about that other 10%, and that was quite good. You really did a good job of reframing the debate and not letting them pinpoint you to a certain idea. I also really liked your rebuttal. The first point was I thought it was impromptu. It was really based on their opening statement and their cross-examination, so that was really good, and you weren't reading things. You were talking from your knowledge, which was great. And I liked how you used evidence to show what they had said was wrong. So you tried to show contradictions in their own evidence, which was good, and you also showed how the papaya example was not a strong one, which was also very good, and they never rebutted that. And finally, I think you did a really good job of appealing to logic and pragmatism, and that was the strength of your side. So thank you very much.
Hello. My job is positive and negative. The positive part is I get to announce the winner. The negative part is I get to say a few negative things. In general, again, congratulations. We've been doing this for, I think, 4 years now, something like that. And you are both the best prepared teams overall that I've seen in a long, long time. So congratulations. And I've spoken to your teachers, and I have a feeling I know why. And that is because I learned at the end that you actually flipped, right? You were preparing for the negative people were preparing for the positive all the way through, and maybe even won and the positive people were negative people before, so you flipped. So as a result, you did the big thing, which is, I think most people don't know this, but in real debating, the debating is that competitions worldwide, you don't know what you're going to argue until about 5 minutes, 10 minutes before. And so you have to always prepare for both sides. So this is, I think, the first time that this has happened at APU where you've actually flipped, which is, I think, really good. Okay, on the negative side, I would say that there was a real difference in the teams. Okay, if you looked at one team, it was a kind of a team. You know, in other words, everybody got to talk and things like that. On the other team, it was more of a team of specialists. In other words, you took one section and you pretty well did it on your own. So I tend to agree with the other judges that it's usually more interesting for the audience, especially if you have more of a team approach. Okay? So if you can, but it's also very hard, and so you may want to think about that in the future. And I think the audience gets a better feeling for the group when they see everybody participating. The other thing is, in terms of your arguments, it was quite obvious that some arguments you liked better than other arguments. In other words, I got the feeling you kind of fell in love with a few things, and as a result, you weren't as ready for other things. I think your group especially, you weren't, you know, when golden rice was mentioned, you kind of went, ugh, you know, and then when Monsanto was mentioned, you went, ugh. You know, in other words, you could tell that there was some real affinities for that. I think that's, you'll find that in advanced debating, showing your emotions is not a good thing. In other words, you really have to be cold as ice. You know? The other thing is, I noticed that in the case of your team, the arguments were a little bit kind of wobbly. You know, you would be going in one direction and then go in another direction and come back to that argument. It wasn't very straightforward. In the case of yours, it was almost too straightforward. It was like really sharp. You know, it was a bit mechanistic. You know, I think maybe you'd practiced too many times. I don't know. Is that possible? I don't know how many times you practiced, but etc. Overall, all in all, you both did a great job. Unfortunately, it was very close with all the three, but all the three judges did agree that the affirmative, this group right here, won the debate. Congratulations. But it was really